All right, it's my pleasure to present to you guys Kishore Jalleda.
That's a pretty good turnout. But anyway, my name is Kishore Jalleda. I run the operations team at Imview. I've been with Imview for about 5 to 6 years now. And I'm here to talk about how we actually do Nagios in what we call the continuous deployment and the Agile and the Devops world at Imview. How many people here have heard about Imview before? Nobody? Wow. Okay. So Imview is it's a avatar-based social entertainment destination. It was founded in 2004, and if you look at the slide, you can actually see everything is really an avatar. You can do things like you can shop around, you can meet new people, you can dress up your avatar, and so many other things. I don't want to spend too much time on what this is, but I mean, for the purposes of this presentation, I think it's okay to say this is an avatar-based social entertainment destination. A little bit more about Imview. We make about $50 million in revenue every year. We have more than 100 million registered users. And we also have 10 plus million items in our virtual catalog. If you go back, for example, this is actually one of our catalog that you can actually see from within our client. It could be your dress, your top, shoes, whatnot. The reason I'm here, again, as I mentioned before, is to, if you look at the overview of my presentation, I do talk about Imview and continuous deployment. How many people here have heard about continuous deployment? One. Okay. Where did you hear it? I'm just curious. Okay. Anyway, I think what you need to understand here really is what exactly is continuous deployment. If you look at this slide, the biggest thing that really stands out here is the ability to push code to our customers 50 times a day. It's almost like doing the impossible. And continuous deployment is real, and Imview has actually been one of the pioneers of continuous deployment. The way to understand it is there's different infrastructure that actually makes up continuous deployment. The first thing is you have a bunch of tests that run each time you actually commit something to your Subversion. I'm assuming people actually use Subversion here, but anyway, so that's like phase one. Phase two is you actually have commit hooks which can prevent you from doing something bad. The next thing, what we call as continuous deployment, is again based on how we actually do something like the tools which we use to push out code to our website. Then we also have phase four, which is of continuous deployment again, which is again based on what we call as the 5 why process. I'm going to get into more detail about that, but again, if you're for the purposes of this meeting, just assume that it's a root cause analysis system that we use to make sure that things don't go wrong. So that's briefly about continuous deployment. So just to recap, you have a bunch of tests. Each time you commit something, a bunch of tests run, and then assuming the tests pass, only then you actually push to the website. What does this mean? The ability to push so many times to your customers could mean a lot of things. First thing is things can change all the time. New features add up instantly. And there could be failures that could cascade rapidly. and things can fall through the cracks, and several other things that you may not experience in a traditional software organization. What you really need to understand here is, before we dig deep into how Nagios is used at IMU, is to give you some insights into how exactly Nagios is used in a traditional, in a continuous deployment shop like IMU. So, a short overview. We use Nagios 3.2.0. We have about 800 plus hosts. We have about 18,000 plus service checks. And everything is based off a single Nagios instance. It has 8 cores and 8 gigs of RAM, pretty much. Before I completely explain to you how Nagios is used at IMU, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to explain how new checks actually get added to Nagios. If you look at this slide, it talks about the server lifecycle management, which in my opinion is the primary job of operations, being in the operations team. So if you look at it, you purchase a server, you do, actually we at IMU use fully automated installs to push and to push configs and push out the operating system. Where Nagios fits in is at a phase where you actually have to add monitoring and alerting, correct? And then you have we also run CF engine, production, and decommission and things like that. Before I explain to you how we add checks or services to new hosts, what I'm going to do is give you a bit of background into how operations does continuous integration and deployment. We built something internally, what we call as the asset database. It's essentially used for tracking your assets, like servers, which is again essential for the lifecycle management. If you look at it, it's again built internally by IMU. It's a simple but powerful concept. What it has is it's got a class. It has information on the class, the role, tags, and attributes. For example, you could have a server which belongs to the class MySQL. It could have a role which says it's a customer shard, which means it has a specific role belonging to a class. It could also have a tag which says available, which means if you wanted to get the list of available servers from your production environment, you can actually just run a command, and you should be able to get that information. So our end goal here is again to build everything off the asset database. It is again the source of truth for everything that is asset related. For example, if somebody wanted to know what is the master in a master slave MySQL setup, that information is actually stored in this database. So it is, and a lot of configs are automatically generated based on this asset database. What you'll be looking at in the next slide is, again, we're talking about how new hosts get added to Nagios at IMU. Okay? And the theme again here is operations and continuous deployment, which is to make things more agile. So what happens here? All we do is we just run a command. It's called generate nagiosconf.pl. Our operations team loves to code in Perl. And what it does is, based on the information from the asset database, which was entered when the server was put into production, files like hosts.cfg and hostgroups.cfg are automatically generated. If you look at the specific example, you can actually see that this is a host. It has a host name. It's a pretty generic notation that we use. What is most important here is the host groups. If you look at it, this host, AF001115, belongs to a lot of host groups. So when let's assume there's a specific check that